When strangers posing as HOA security officers cut the power to Jake Thompson's home without warning, his peaceful neighborhood was thrown into chaos. These imposters wielded fake authority to intimidate and control, showing no regard for the people they targeted. But Jake had a secret weapon, a renewable energy system that gave him control over the entire neighborhood's power. Just wait until you hear how this shocking twist flipped the script, and how justice, in the end, came roaring back. My name is Jake Thompson, and for over a decade I've called a quiet, tree-lined neighborhood just outside Seattle my home. It's the kind of place where kids ride bikes without helmets, neighbors chat over fences, and life moves at a comfortable, predictable pace. Until last week, when everything changed in the blink of an eye. It started on a dull Tuesday afternoon. I was in my backyard trimming some bushes when I noticed a small group of men walking up my driveway. They wore matching navy blue uniforms, something official looking, with patches and badges stitched onto their sleeves. But I'd never seen them before, not once. That alone was strange. Our HOA, Homeowners Association, was pretty transparent. They always announced any changes or new contractors. These guys showed up unannounced. One of them stepped forward, his tone sharp and unyielding. "Jake Thompson?" he asked. I nodded cautiously. "You're in violation of HOA Regulation 9.4b, he said without elaborating. Before I could respond, another man pulled a handheld device and, to my utter disbelief, flipped a switch. Instantly, the electricity in my house shut off. Lights flickered out, my laptop screen went dark, the fridge stopped humming. The whole house was plunged into silence and shadows. I stood frozen, blinking against the sudden gloom. "What are you doing?" I demanded, heart pounding. "This is illegal!" But they just exchanged smirks and repeated, "You're out of compliance. Power shut off until further notice." At first, I thought this had to be some kind of misunderstanding, a routine HOA enforcement, maybe a clerical error or a safety concern. I'd seen notices posted about minor infractions before, but never anything like this. No warning, no chance to fix the issue, just immediate power cut. My skin crawled when I looked closer at their badges. No numbers, no names, no way to verify who these men really were. When I asked to see official paperwork, their faces hardened. They barked orders, telling me to stay out of the way, to keep calm, and not to cause trouble. Their eyes had a cold, unsettling edge, as if they belonged to a different world, one where intimidation was the only language spoken. I tried to call the HOA office from my phone. No answer. Neighbors reported the same strange men on their properties, doing the same thing. It was clear this wasn't sanctioned by anyone I knew. The more I thought about it, the more the unease turned into raw shock. These men were imposters. They were exploiting the HOA's name to bully and scare us, turning our peaceful streets into a silent battlefield. And that was only the beginning. The days dragged on, each one darker than the last, literally. Without electricity, my house became a prison of shadows and silence. The frustration gnawed at me, but what grew even stronger was a deep, burning hatred. Not just for those imposters who had invaded my home like some kind of thugs, but for the whole system that seemed to turn a blind eye. I tried to get help from the HOA board, hoping they would step up, condemn these men, and restore some sense of order. But instead I was met with cold indifference. They refused to take responsibility. They wouldn't admit these guys were frauds. Instead, they brushed it off as a private security matter, as if that excused the complete violation of my rights. Their advice? Settle it quietly, avoid making waves. That felt like a punch to the gut. How could they ask me to accept this, to just sit back and watch my family's safety and well-being be toyed with by charlatans? My daughter depends on medication that must be kept cold. Without power, her medicine was at risk. My wife's work, done entirely from home, ground to a halt without internet or lights. My small business, which relies on constant connection, teetered on the edge of collapse. None of that mattered to the people supposed to protect our community. This wasn't just about power being cut. It was about control, about how easily those imposters had snatched away our peace of mind, our security, and the simple comforts we took for granted. The way the HOA seemed more interested in covering their own backs than standing up for the people who trusted them lit a fire inside me. I wasn't just angry, I was furious. Not just at the fake security officers, but at an entire system that allowed people like them to wield power unchecked, power that ruined lives without consequence. This was personal now, and I wasn't about to let it go. Then, just when I thought I had hit rock bottom, I discovered something nobody expected, something that flipped the whole situation on its head. Years ago, out of curiosity and a bit of passion for technology, I'd installed a small renewable energy setup on my property. Solar panels linked to a smart grid system I designed as a side project, just for fun. I never imagined it would become my secret weapon. But here's the twist. This system wasn't just powering my house. It was connected in a way that gave me control over the entire neighborhood's power supply. The realization hit me like a lightning bolt. The very thing they thought they had power over, the electricity running through every home, was in my hands. I wasn't powerless. Far from it. Fueled by a mix of anger, frustration, and a fierce sense of justice, I waited for the moment they came back. When those fake HOA security officers showed up again, thinking they could intimidate me and my neighbors, I was ready. With a few clicks, I remotely cut off their power. Darkness swallowed their equipment and communication devices. For the first time, the hunters became the hunted. But I didn't stop there. I gathered every piece of evidence, photos, recordings, the hacked comms, and sent it straight to the real authorities. When the police investigated, they were stunned to uncover an entire criminal racket hiding behind the HOA's name. These imposters weren't just bullies. They were fraudsters, exploiting trust for their own gain. The fake security officers were arrested swiftly, and as the truth came out, the HOA board members who had covered for them were exposed and forced to step down. The neighborhood's peace was finally restored. It was a long, hard fight. But sometimes the greatest weapon is knowledge, and knowing exactly how to turn the tables. When the power finally flickered back on across the neighborhood, the feeling was electric, both literally and figuratively. Doors opened, lights brightened, and from porch to porch I could hear cheers and laughter. My neighbors came outside, faces glowing with relief and gratitude. For them, I wasn't just the guy who fixed the power. I became something more, a symbol of resistance and hope. Standing up to those fake cops wasn't just about one house or one family. It was about protecting the whole community. It was about showing that real strength belongs to those who care for their homes and neighbors, not to those who use false authority to bully and intimidate. I learned something important through all this, that sometimes the systems we think are set in stone can be flipped upside down. The people who tried to control us had no idea that I held the key to the very thing they depended on, the power itself. Justice didn't just come back, it was transformed. For once, the powerless gained the ultimate control, and that shift made all the difference. It wasn't just about winning a fight. It was about reclaiming our neighborhood, our peace, and our sense of security. And in the end, that's the kind of power no one can take away.